Joining us right now is CNN senior political commentator Ana Navarro and Democratic strategist Julie Regency. Guys, let us start here, not on the details of the rare earth minerals deal, but on the politics around this whole thing. Because I'm wondering, Ana, what you think of this turnaround from Oval Office meltdown to turnaround sitting knee to knee at the Pope's funeral to now you have in the announcement from the Treasury Department words like Russia's full-scale invasion, an acknowledgement, and also talking about Russia's war machine, not terminology we've heard President Trump saying in recent days.
Listen, if Pope Francis ever gets nominated to be a saint, this could be counted as his first miracle. Right? I think it's a big turnaround, and in the meantime, what we have seen is endless bombardment, devastating bombardment from Russia into Ukraine. The images have been heartbreaking, and so any progress is good progress. But we can't forget that at the same time, Putin is outright rejecting Donald Trump's timeline for a peace deal and saying no go. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but at least we are past that horrible impasse of Zelensky being thrown out of the Oval Office for not wearing a suit. Somebody should tell Elon Musk.
Well, he apparently has, he's the exception.
A dispensation, papal dispensation.
Papal dispensation, there you go, exactly. This is one of those rare things where you are hearing, I mean, we just had Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley on. Jeff Merkley applauding the president, applauding his change in tone, applauding the change here, saying thank you for, thank you for changing your approach, I think is how he said. It's just worth noting because these things do not exist anymore, which are a lot of bipartisan support around anything.
True, and we'll see if this actually holds. I mean, this is a president who's not consistent. Look, there's no doubt that there's a bad cop, bad guy, and a good guy here, right? There's no doubt that Russia is the enemy of freedom, of democracy, and that Zelensky and Ukraine are fighting not just for themselves, but for all of us and for the West and for our ideals. And so when you have any kind of progress where the president at least acknowledges that maybe his friend Vladimir Putin is not the end-all be-all and that maybe Ukraine has a point, I guess that's progress. But I mean, how far have we fallen if that's what we consider to be progress?
Yeah, we've fallen far.
Yeah. The measuring stick is quite something. Then there is the economy. And then there is, seemingly for the first time, President Trump acknowledging what economists and everyone else have already been saying, which is the trade war is going to raise prices and could very well lead to empty store shelves. The president saying this about that.
Somebody said, "Oh, the shelves are going to be open." Well, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, and maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally.
How do you feel about that message?
It's so disconnected from everyday reality of Americans. It's so tone deaf. It's so Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake. And I think it's part of the problem is that Donald Trump is not only surrounded by a bunch of sycophants who don't push back on him, but they're rich sycophants. A lot of them are also billionaires or have, hundreds of millions of dollars. And then he goes to Mar-a-Lago, where he is, again, surrounded by a bunch of very wealthy people. Look, most Americans can't afford $30 for their kids. There's a lot of Americans today who are earning the minimum wage. There's a lot of Americans who can't afford groceries, who are complaining about the price of eggs, which have not gone down. So for him to so laissez-faire, so nonchalantly say, oh, instead of $30, your kid will get $2. So let's just think about this, though. Let's just say that what he's saying is true, that instead of $30, which I don't know anybody other than maybe Ivanka's kids who get $30, they'll get $2. That means less shipping, less workers in the ports. It means less drivers taking the inventory to the stores. It means less people working in the store to check out those items, to put them on the shelves. The trickle down on the economy is enormous of not having those items come in.
Julie, do you think Democrats are harnessing that message correctly?
No, I don't. I don't think Democrats are doing what Ana just did and what some of us do every day, which is go out there and say plainly what is happening. I mean,
this of all things, I mean, economists say the same.
Right.
Polling is showing that Americans are afraid and they're hurting and they're pointing to President Trump, even if he wants to blame Biden. We can get to that in a second for the economic conditions. Why aren't Democrats doing a better job at it?
Maybe Chuck Schumer can write a sternly worded letter to President Trump about the dolls, because that's basically what we've seen out of leadership. Look, the days for these kinds of like 1990s, 1980s letter writing campaigns are over. You have to go out there and say exactly what Anna just did, which is the fact that the Teamsters, who failed to endorse last year in the presidential election, now are losing jobs because of the fact that truckers will no longer be able to haul stuff from the ports like those dolls that are coming in from China. The ILA, which put out an incredible press release praising to the stars Donald Trump for being the hero of working class Americans, then put out a press release last week saying this isn't making America great because their dock workers are about to lose jobs because those shipments that Anna pointed out are not coming in. That's what we have to do. Those are the people we have to go to and say, look, the bottom line is that those dolls that you're not getting, that your kids are not getting, are also, as Anna pointed out, impacting you, impacting your jobs. And they're not doing it. I don't understand why not.
That's my question is, do you understand why they are not?
It's
because you just throwing additional element to this is you had Kamala Harris making a big speech last night, which of course raises questions of what role should she have. She's thinking about running for governor. Word is she's also thinking about doing another presidential run. Is that the right messenger?
Listen. If I were Democrats, I would stop with the letter writing campaigns. I would stop with the sit-ins on the steps of the Capitol. I would get my butt to the port of Los Angeles right now, which is seeing ships come in with virtually nothing on them because of these tariffs. And I would point to the fact that this is the impact, the real life impact for jobs, for consumers, for Americans about what is happening right now. Get out of D.C. I don't know where Kamala Harris is giving that speech. I would go to Los Angeles. Great. Then
she gave it last night.
Then gave it last night. Then great. Then go to the port in Seattle. Go to the port in Los Angeles and do it.
I think we folks need to stop looking at elected officials and to elected officials, and I think that people need to be the ones that are the bearer of the message. You know, we all have one of these. We all have Twitter accounts. We all have Instagram accounts. If you are a person who is afraid right now and who doesn't know how you're going to buy the Christmas ornaments or the Christmas toys for your kids, then you give the message. You talk about it. Let's us take charge of the message of America and not just depend on Washington or whoever might be in our governor's office. It's up to the people. We can't just shirk that duty and that responsibility away. This is our country to defend.
Agreed.
Good to see you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.